Here's it. I think one more, maybe a little louder. Thank you to my new friend, Ren.
Yeah.
Who helped me call to order. Louder? Okay. Thank you to my good friend Ren for helping me call to order the April 9th meeting of the Jamestown School Committee. Ren, you did a great job. I would like to call the meeting to order, and for roll call, Allison, if you can just note that Mr. Alsop will be coming late this evening. And then, does anybody in this audience know how to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, good. Would you all stand up and face the flag and help me say the Pledge of Allegiance? It's right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Justice for all. Good. Excellent job. All right. The first item on our agenda.
This is the best part of my day already.
I know. Miss Connolly, would you mind telling us what we have here tonight?
I had to present my first grade artists and I'm sorry, Miss Connolly, if you could turn the mic back to speak for our friends will hear you. But of course, I think it's on. Hello. Good evening. Yes. So I'm here to present our first grade artists from Mr. Speck's class. And we're presenting our Indigenous artworks. That's been our theme this year. And we're going to start by playing our counting song in the Narragansett language. Now I'd love to just share with you our artwork that we have tonight, our watercolor dream catchers featuring warm and cool color scheme. We have collage sunflowers. Sunflowers are the fourth sister. We've been learning about the three sisters, and sunflowers are considered the fourth, very special. And then first grade focused a lot on corn. We looked at flint corn. We made ceramic corn ears that are in corn husks. We made corn husk dolls. And then we've been doing sort of an open studio of a lot of Indigenous projects. We've been making medicine pouches, pottery, painted gourds, shell necklaces, and some basketry. And so we'd love to share all of those with you. Thank you so much for having us. And we hope to see you at the art show May 1st, which is just the week after vacation. Woohoo! So we can't wait to share all of our work with you. Thank you to our wonderful families for bringing your sweet artists. And thank you, artists. Thank you, first grade. I'm so proud of you. Wonderful.
Thank you. So we're going to come down and take a look at some of those beautiful pieces of art.
You can just, there you go.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing them. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
The ceramic door. The
Thank you.
wall.
Thank
These
you
are-
so
That's
much.
an amazing idea.
Okay.
Well, there was this thing called empty bowls. Oh, did you know?
We haven't done since I've been here.
Yeah, for it would like, the kids would all make bowls. And then there was a night where they served soup in the bowls, and then we would buy the bowls. So all the money went to like the soup kitchen or something. Yeah. But I have like
Oh,
20, but we still use them because we were like, remember? Like,
oh, that's great. And maybe we should do that. That's great. That's. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
This, I love this.
Thank you. Thanks for answering. That's so pretty.
You want to sneeze?
Thanks.
Of course.
What's the mom that that's kind of this exactly?
So this is the whole program that we needed the kids for, right?
I will tell you guys that you can leave and yes, we'll do all of that. You do not have to stay for the whole week.
Okay, but the kids piece is over, the art piece is over,
This is
right?
it. Us to see what's happening in the schools and to ask questions. Otherwise, we come to these meetings and we're so disconnected with first grade is week 6.
Yeah.
I have.
We're disconnected. We ask every day, how was your day at school? What'd you do? No, I don't know.
It's fun.
I had no idea like that they were doing Native American, like we asked them like 1,000 questions every day. No idea. It's so, you know,
So it's good for you too.
yeah. Yeah.
And then meanwhile, you go on like the howl and all that, and there's your child holding like an alligator.
I know exactly.
Oh, it's an alligator.
I know exactly what they serve for lunch every day.
That's-
Yeah.
And I'm sure whether or not they pay for.
I think,
Bye, Zoe. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Stop. Put it down, please. Bye. I want to stay for the meeting. Who's that? What is that? What is that?
It's a microphone. You're not supposed to use it.
Wow, Miss Connolly. Thank you so much for sharing your artists. Could I ask for one favor before everybody leaves? Maybe? Miss Connolly, did you get a picture with your artists in front of their displays? Looks like you have a few.
One, two, three. Go whole bunch. I'm gonna take this.
Thank you so much for coming out and sharing your art. We're going to have a business meeting. You should go home and eat dinner and read stories and have a bath and do your chores and all of that good stuff.
I'm staying here.
All right.
All right. That brings us to item number 2, which is public forum. Are there any members of the public that are here to speak to the committee?
Hello, my name is Patrick Schmidt. I live at 1 Umiak Avenue. I'm a board member of the Jamestown Education Foundation, and I want to express my and my family's support of expanding the 3-year-old program at the school so that it can take care of all the children in Jamestown, not just a portion of them. My wife came a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to come out myself and express like it's our entire family feels this. We both work from home, so this is a big thing for our family, and I'm sure many other families in the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, that brings us to item number 3, which is our workshop topic for this evening, preschool programming.
Yes, yes, thank you. And I have asked Erica Dixon, who helps, she and Beth Roman was scheduled to be here with Erica, but Beth had an emergency, so she couldn't make it. So Erica is going to share some, I think, some information with you that will give you some kind of background and and intel into what we're currently how the current preschool programming works and those kinds of things. Sound good? Sounds good. Okay, Erica?
Okay, good evening. Allison, do you advance the slides or do I have to? Oh, fantastic. One less thing. So that's a very hard act to follow, but I will do my best. So I wanted to come and share information with you this evening about our early childhood program, give some background historical data, show you where the information comes from, and have a conversation about how it is that we place our littlest learners in our preschool classroom. So there's a PowerPoint, but I gave you the handout because some of it's really small. So we have a small but powerful early childhood team at Melrose. So Beth and I are part of that. We have Gina Khaleesi, who's a full-time employee, and one part of her job is to be both our early childhood coordinator and our child outreach coordinator. And I'll talk a little bit about those 2 roles in a little while. And then in our preschool program, we have Lori Canfield, who's a dual certified special education and regular education teacher, Shelly Deandra and Catherine Jennings, who are both fabulous TAs in the program. So this is a small slide, but this is our KidsNet data. So KidsNet is a program that's run through the Department of Health. Children are entered into KidsNet by pediatricians. They are entered in if they are involved in a program like WIC or Early Connections. And these are the numbers that we use to see how many 2-year-olds, how many 3-year-olds, and how many 4-year-olds are currently residing in Jamestown. The numbers change because as children go up in age, they'll end up in a different column. The numbers change because people move and because the data is really dependent on external people placing the data in there. So this is not data that we generate. We, as a school department, offer screenings to all children who are 3 or 4 years old. So when you look up there, the first column is our 2-year-olds, then our 3-year-olds and our 4-year-olds. And then the last column I put is a combination of 3 and 4-year-olds because the 3 and 4-year-olds are the children who would be in our preschool programming. So the numbers go back to 2017, 2018. Just because we like to see what else is happening in the state, the district with the largest number is one of our urbans at 6,617 kids in that age group. The district with the lowest number happens to be another island community with 26 little learners. Jamestown has 96. We do the childhood outreach screening. We report out on annually as part of our early childhood CRP. The highest percentage screened is 65%, also another island community. The lowest percentage of children screened is 28. And in Jamestown, we screen about 53% of our students. We try to get as many children screened and we make the opportunity available to as many families as possible.
Erica, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you just for clarity, what does screened mean?
I'm going to go to that.
Okay. And sorry, can
Yep,
you go back?
I'm not
Sorry,
there.
Allison?
I have a couple of
Yeah.
questions about KidsNet.
Can you go back, Allison?
Thank you. Okay, so KidsNet is run by the Department of Health. Is that just a Rhode Island Def-
I'm not sure if it's national or Rhode Island, Christine. I only know about it in Rhode Island, so I'm not sure
Okay.
how other states manage this population of students.
Okay, because I was going to ask a question about mobility, because I know we do have a highly mobile population as far as our military families are concerned.
Our military families are not in these, so they only get into the KidsNet count when they're a live birth in Rhode Island, have started seeing a pediatrician in Rhode Island, and that pediatrician enters the information in or is involved in one of those early programs.
Okay,
So our military folks who may be in a different country or a different state would not be in here until they were seen by a pediatrician here.
okay. And not being from a military family, I don't know, do they have pediatricians on base or do they see pediatricians in the community?
They can do either one.
They can.
Yeah,
Okay.
these numbers are very fluid.
Got it.
Part of the problem with getting the PowerPoint put together today was how many numbers we had to look at. So we picked one date at one period of time
Mhm.
and compared that year over year because the numbers change as children move, as they grow up, as they see a different doctor. So
Okay. So we're currently in the 25-26 school year.
Mhm.
So the data we have here is from last school year.
it's from January 2026 is current data. So in the little parentheses, it says January 2026.
Okay, but then down below in the purple chart, it says data reported from 24-25.
That's the percentage of kids in that year. That's the last time the state reported to us statewide what was
Okay.
happening.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Um, Go ahead.
so how does the Jamestown number of children is 96? Is that 2, 3, and 4-year-olds?
2, 3, and 4-year-olds, yes.
But that doesn't seem to match up with the,
So the number changes a ton. I don't know what moment in time they took that data from 24, 25. The data we used for every year until this year was their, what KidsNet calls their year-end data, which gets reported the December after the
okay,
end of the school year.
okay.
Yeah, I have all the papers if you want to see how different the numbers are. So we had picked one moment in time. So before this year, we picked the conclusion at the end of the year with what KidsNet provided to us.
But so there's roughly, I'm sorry, you answered this, but one more time. The number of Jamestown children in that pink box is 2, 3, and 4-year-olds, or just 3 and 4-year-olds.
It's 2, 3, and 4-year-olds at that moment in time.
So there's roughly 100, because even if you look at the table above,
Yep, it's 71 above. Yep.
Mhm.
well, 71 is only 3 and 4-year-olds,
Oh, I'm sorry. So if you added the 2-year-olds in, you're about
100.
mathematically.
roughly,
Yep.
plus or minus. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
And do 2-year-olds get screened?
They don't get screened until they turn 3.
So it's 3. Okay,
So they might pop over into that column at any point during the year.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. So that's where the KidsNet data is generated from. We are responsible for screening children who turn 3 years old and are Jamestown residents. What the screening means is an early childhood screener, and what we're looking for are any areas of challenge in communication, early learnings, and early reading, early math, social development skills. Gina Cleese does all of our screening. She screens any child that we have permission to screen. So the parents have to give us signed consent to conduct the screening. We screen our resident children first. So she's at Jamestown Early Learning a lot. And as you know, at Jamestown or Anchor Point, they have kids from different communities who are there. So first she focuses on screening the Jamestown students. But when there's children there from Newport or NK, she'll also screen those students and send that data to the child's home district. What happens with the screener is the child may pass the screening. They may come up as coded to rescreen, which means they may have had a little trouble in one area or 2 areas, but not significant, and they just want to look at the child again. Or they come up as a referral to special education. Once a child turns 3 years old, they become the public school department's responsibility to provide special education. So if a child fails that screening, it starts the new referral process to us.
Even though they're not enrolled in school yet.
No, they do not need to be enrolled in the school yet. They do not need to be in our preschool program. Okay. So this is our historical pre-kindergarten enrollment. This was a challenge to find, but we do have all the data going back to 2017. We have a few years before that. I put the number of children who are in our AM program in the first column, the number of children who are enrolled in our PM program in the second column, how many kids were on the morning preschool waiting list in the third, and the last column is how many children are on the PM preschool waiting list. So you can see over years, typically we have a higher number of children on our PM waiting list. The reason for that is every child who's in our AM preschool automatically is rolled into our PM preschool. So if they come to us in the morning, when they're 3, the following year, when they're 4, they'll automatically have a placement in the 4-year-old program.
Okay, so AM preschool, what are those hours?
It's on one of my following slides and
Thank you.
you.
And this is a combined class with 3 and 4-year-olds, or are they in
The
separate?
AM, so to be part of the AM preschool program, you have to be 3 by September 1st. Sure.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I really am going to answer your questions. So to be in the AM preschool program, you have to be 3 years old by September 1st. It runs 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 to 11. Our PM program, they have to be 4 years old by September 1st, and that runs 5 days a week from 10:15 to 2:40. So our afternoon program kids come in at 10:15. They go to specials. Then they eat lunch with the kindergartners, and then they go into their preschool classroom. Okay. So our program is completely integrated, which means that Miss Laurie, our preschool teacher, is duly certified. She's a regular and special education certified teacher. We have 2 teaching assistants, and our class size is capped at 15. We align ourselves with Best Early Childhood Standards and Bright Stars, and that's the number that they recommend with the ratio that
Can I ask, Erica, so if the cap is 15, why are some of these numbers less than 15?
I
Just-
promise I'm going to get to that one too.
Oh, goodness. Wow. I feel like I should wait till the end of the presentation.
Yes.
So do we know why we went from like 0 on the waiting list to 10 within 2 years? Any idea?
So there were so there's only 2 early childhood businesses in town. There were significant changes with Jamestown Early Learning going into a new ownership and becoming Anchor Point Academy. I have a hypothesis that that is a contributing factor because that is the only significant change that's happened in our community. If you look back at the KidsNet data, we've been at about 71 kids at that year-end data point for 3 years consecutively, but this is the first time we've seen that number increase. So, and we do partner very closely with them, so.
Change our times or staff?
So our preschool program has changed over years. We have been responsive to what our parents have asked for. So we used to just have an AM program and a PM program. The PM program was equal hours, and you could elect how many days a week your children went. So we made it more uniformed because there were, I think it was the 2021 school year. We had like 3 kids in the afternoon program on one of the days of the week that we ran it. So we made it more uniformed and had a consistency in the program. So it has changed in time. It has not changed significantly in the past 2 years. Okay. Okay. So registration, so you can register when your child's going to be 3 years old or 4 years old, depending on the program. We typically advertise our application deadline as about February 15th. Now it changes every year a little bit depending on when school vacation is, snow days, but around that time of the year, we advertise the opening of the Jamestown preschool in the Howell, in the Jamestown Press. We send notifications out with families who have children currently in the school. Excuse me. If we have more children than we have spots, then we do a lottery. We have a lottery process that we follow. It is a written process. And what we do is we have 2 members of the early childhood team actually drawing children's names. So we either fold them on papers and put them in a basket, or we put them on sticky notes and put them upside down on a bunch of tables. And then there's a third person who's not choosing names, but is observing. We do have a caveat that if we have a twin, we do have lots of twins in Jamestown. If a twin wins the lottery, their twin sibling also wins the lottery because we wouldn't separate them. That would be unfair. The parents are notified if their child has gotten a spot into our preschool program or if they have not gotten a spot. And we try to get that notification early March because we know families need to plan ahead. And then when they actually sign the tuition commitment letter is when their spot is guaranteed. We do also use that lottery process to prioritize the wait list. So we choose the number of students in each in each program, and then we keep choosing names and put them in order on the waiting list. So if your name is one on the waiting list, then that's how your name was drawn. Questions about that? No? Okay. So Chris, you asked why we don't have 15 kids in each class every single year. Partially it's because we don't always have 15 people who want to be there. But the other thing is we are obligated to hold spaces. So once a child turns 3, anytime in that calendar year, if they qualify for special education services and the IEP team determines that placement in the preschool is necessary for that child to make adequate progress, then they receive a free placement in the preschool program because that's in alignment with IDEA and free and appropriate public education. So we typically hold 3 spots in our AM preschool program because our 3-year-olds are our less known population. They haven't been screened before. We don't know much about them from the early intervention programs, and we want to make sure we have a spot. They can enter the program anytime during that calendar year. So we may hold 3 spots, and we may have 2 children who join that grade level over the course of the year and end the year with only 14 kids in the program. But children join throughout the school year. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 join already, and another child who's still coming before the school year ends. Okay. So they come in 2 different ways from the early childhood process. They come in through that screening process that I talked about, where if they don't pass the screening, they come to us for referral and we evaluate them and determine if they are eligible for special education services. Not every child who requires an IEP requires a placement in the program. We have some kids at Jamestown Early Learning who have an IEP, and our speech path will go over there and provide the services there for them. But some kids, because of the impact of their disability, do require that placement. And that's one of the ways they come into the preschool. The other one is through the early intervention team. So babies become involved with their EI through their pediatrician's office. The EI team will notify Gina Calisi as the early childhood coordinator at about 2.5 years old and say, we're going to be referring this child to the public school department. So around 2.5, we'll meet with the family. We'll start that evaluation process. And if that child does require special education services, we're required to offer to have them start on the child's 3rd birthday, as long as it falls during the school year.
Okay, so the EI process comes through a medical
It's
diagnosis.
pediatrician to early intervention
Yep.
team
Okay,
to us.
and then the placement determination comes through our screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's all for that slide. So what's next? We are in the process of renewing our Bright Stars application. If you were here about 6 or 7 years ago, we went through the Bright Stars application process then. We were 4 stars. We're doing that work right now. Members of our preschool team who are on that first slide are going to meet. We're going to look at this data. We're going to hear the feedback from our families in the community. We work closely with the folks over at Jamestown Early Learning or Anchor Point and do an analysis of what the data shows for the community overall. And then we would draft programs that would best meet the needs of the children in our district. Any more questions?
What about, what's the timing for all of this, the analysis? When do you expect?
It's ongoing. We're really in the process. I mean, right now we're adding children still to the program. So
So it's-
we're having these conversations on a very regular
Yeah, okay.
basis. We meet tomorrow with Bright Stars. So we meet usually Friday mornings for the early childhood team.
Okay.
Because the AM program's not in session, so we can have Miss Lori.
Sorry, just remind me, what does the Bright Stars application result in? What does it do?
Stars. They give us the stars. Yeah, they give us a star rating for, yep. It's very, very, very comprehensive.
So not to be a rabble rouser, we're watching the kindergarten numbers right now to think about going from 2 to 3 kindergarten classes. We did this last year as well. We started with 2 kindergarten classes and added a 3rd. So if the trend, right, I don't know how, I'm not a statistician, how many years you need to have the data to have a trend. Have we engaged in any conversations about expanding this program? adding an additional classroom or,
So not for this upcoming year,
right?
but we're always looking at that to say, do we have the amount of spaces that we need to meet the needs of the children in our district? I think everyone at Melrose or in Jamestown would be a strong proponent of early learning. We want the kids in the school.
Of course.
We're legally obligated to have them in the school if they require special education services and require placement.
Mhm.
So we have to have a program like this, but we also love it.
Mhm.
So it's a, it's a great place to be, and it's probably a place that you can see most people stopping in when they come in. So it's something that's ongoing. The numbers that we saw this year on our waiting list were an anomaly, and definitely, I think I can speak for David, gave us all pause. Like this is something that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And you can see that from the historical information.
I mean, the macro trends are population decline, right? So as is shown even in the micro Jamestown data. However, we are trying to look at the population and the trends in a more detailed way. So I'll give a plug for the project that I appreciate Drew leading, and we have a session next Tuesday night on the 14th, where we're kicking off a facilities plan, which also has an aspect of digging into data and predictions, et cetera. So,
And I did talk to David about that, and I'm very hopeful that that work can give us some predictors for what we're going to see moving forward, because it's a significant lift to plan an early childhood program, from a staffing component, from a space component, from a materials component, all very worthwhile the work, but we want to make sure we're doing it because it's needed.
Yeah, I guess that's why I was asking about the KidsNet data and whether or not it's just local to Rhode Island or if it's national, because either way, if we can look at the trend data there, because some birth years are just,
Bubbles.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazier than others. And yeah.
So.
would say-
That is difficult, I have to say, because it's dependent on pediatricians enrolling children in it. Children being born, babies being born in Rhode Island and being entered into the system, or having access to those early childhood programs. So I look at it regularly with Gina. We can't use any names to predict the necessary classrooms for kindergarten, but we do look at the names. And we've noticed through the years that there's children on there that we know have moved, or new names that came up on the list that we had never seen before. So it's a very,
Imperfect.
it's not perfect, exactly.
Mhm. Can I ask you to come up and speak into the microphone? Or else we're all going to get emails that they don't know who's speaking from the audience.
My name is Sarah Loera, and both my girls go to Melrose, and my youngest Riley is in the pre-K program. And so the one question that you were asking about the KidsNet program and pediatrician out of state, I don't think that's a thing. There's definitely no following between pediatrician from out of state to pediatrician in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And depending on when you get orders and when you move to Rhode Island, it could still be a couple months before your children are being seen by a pediatrician in the state. Because the only thing that you have to do is the yearly appointment. And depending on when the kids was born, it could be like my older, she still hasn't been seen because we moved in July. She had seen a pediatrician right before we moved. She's not going to be seen until July this year. So you would never have that data. And I remember Ms. Roman telling us at the beginning of the year, this school year, there was a really big influx of military population moving to the island.
Okay.
And unfortunately for you, I don't see how you could predict those numbers.
Right.
And sometimes we know ahead, like 6 months, 8 months, where we're going next. And sometimes it's, hey, you're moving in 2 months, and this is where you're going, so.
well, and I will say it's credit to the school that, it's imperfect numbers, but the school does as good a job as they can of connecting to military families in the military system.
Absolutely.
I will encourage, if you have time, to come Tuesday night and give that specific input to the facilitators of the meetings, because any kind of nuggets of information like that will help. We're trying to get as granular as we can in the data, which should help us go forward. So, and if you can't come, even just an email into the process with those specifics, I think would help.
Okay, I can do that because they have to.
They have, right, I got you. I get it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
have one other thought too, Erica, which is just going back to this kind of demand question. So we have the wait list numbers. I guess I'm just wondering, do we think that that matches the interest numbers? Or is it possible that there's, I don't know, a dozen more families out there that are interested but didn't apply or didn't join the wait list, but actually might, attend?
I can tell you what's
maybe-
happened historically. It might be on one of the slides. So if we had a wait list of 5 children, and we reach out to the families, sometimes we hear back from families and say, you can take me off the list. I found a
Mhm.
placement, with the Navy Child Care or with Jamestown Early Learning. So what I've seen more often is everybody applies, and then they apply multiple places and choose the one that's best for them that they get into.
Mhm.
So we don't very often get late applications unless families are moving to the community late, or if they come through that, one of the 2 processes I talked about.
Any other questions?
So if you had to pick to your point about it taking a long time to plan, if you thought that we were going to expand the program at some point, when would that announcement or recommendation happen? With any idea? Would that be something that we decide in the fall for next year in advance of the budget season, I would imagine?
The budget would be a huge driver in the decision making. So I'd want to go into budget season knowing that is one of our plans. And with that budget being approved, then the announcement could be made.
I see.
So
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. And that's where we're at right now because the budget has already been approved.
Mhm.
The contingency that's in place is in place for that. Well, we had a couple, but we still have contingency in place should we need that additional kindergarten class. So, and you brought up a very good point, Christine. Let me say this real quickly. Of course, I've only been here a year and a half. So once we were made aware of the additional students, potential preschool students, that's when we decided, this could be an anomaly, but it's worth checking out, right? And we knew it was late in the game to do anything for next year. But I think Erica, she shared some of these folks like Gina Calise, Erica, Beth Roman, Lori, Camfield, Maggie, who's at the front desk at Melrose. Anyway, all those folks that somehow touch early childhood with some way or another have agreed, and this is before we had public comment, had agreed to kind of help me and create a task force. I keep using that word task force, but for lack of a better word, just so that we could. And you make a very good point. It is our struggle is, how do you track the data? If it is a one-off, right? And that's the thing. If it's a one-off, do you build it into the budget to have that, and then the following year, now you've invested all this money and it's not there. So we want to, and Erica is absolutely correct. We are advocates for early childhood because our belief is that the sooner we get them in, the sooner we make believers out of parents and families that this is where they want their kids to stay through the 8th grade, right? So we are advocates for that, but at the same time, we want to be good stewards of our taxpayer money, right? So it's data informed, right? So we are taking this very cautiously, but it is difficult to be able to kind of predict next year because when the numbers came in this year, we'd already presented the budget to the to the school committee. So it's just one of those things where we'll have to gather as much and maybe more data than just what from KidsNet. Maybe we look, and that's why I brought so many folks together to look at it, as many possible data points as we possibly can.
Right, because if the KidsNet data is published in December, that's usually when we start figuring out calendar with the town council to open up our budgeting process.
the kids that data on a rolling basis.
We do,
Yes,
okay.
yep. So I was in the database today with Gina. So we have access on a rolling basis. We used for the reporting the year-end numbers
Got
so
it.
that there was some level of consistency. And then we use the most current numbers for right now to present. So we can go in there anytime and see how many 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds are in the system.
Okay.
Very good. Are there regulations that determine the logistics, or are we in control of setting the logistics, and specifically in regards to like the split sessions and the time length of the?
We have a lot of ability to have control over that. The ratio of adults to children is something that we follow the Bright Stars recommendations and the early childhood recommendations for that. There are districts that have hundreds of early childhood programs that run a variety of lengths and time, half-day programs, full-day programs, self-contained programs for kids with very significant disabilities. There's a variety of programs that are available. It's dependent on what the community needs.
So I was just thinking in terms of Drew's question about what is the actual demand. I do know, like, when we were in this position, you know, we wouldn't have been able to consider this because of the structure of it. And I know that a lot of other families probably
Right.
are in similar situations. But
Yep. So we've worked, when I saw the numbers, I did some reaching out to Narragansett, to NK, to see if there's any way to partner to offer our families different partner opportunities. It's really difficult to do because most families pay for a tuition for that early childhood placement, but the tuition costs the program is funded only very smallly by that. Tuition is funded by the local budget more, so.
Instead of relying only on state data, would there be a benefit to doing a local survey, either put in the paper or on Facebook or multiple pronged,
So
asking the community how many kids there would be?
yeah, I am, I think as everyone will know, I'm a super strong advocate. I would like to see us dig into, Jamestown's a unique community, especially with military influx in and the housing situation that's going on. Like there's some unique characteristics of the town that is driving our population. So we are doing our best to dig into specific Jamestown data rather than relying on state. So, and I would say I can speak personally, like I heard your testimony before, and I think you can hear, we're all huge champions of early childhood education. So whatever we can do to adjust, we certainly will. So,
My other question, comment was going to be that it seems like this year there are more spaces being held for early intervention children, and that the wait list happens to be its deepest. Would there be any flexibility on expanding the potential ratio? So looking at historical data to see, okay, when there were X number of early intervention students, how many of them ended up taking the spot that was held for them versus not, and potentially going beyond the 15 student cap to go to 17 if those other students do show up. So that for right now, from instead of being at 12, you go to 14, and then you have other students come in or something like that.
Miss Dixon jumped up. It looks like she has an answer, so I'm going to let her have the mic back.
So we typically hold 3 spots in the morning for EI or.
Into the microphone, please,
sorry.
Miss Dixon.
We typically hold 3 spots in the morning program for children who come in through that screening process or through the EI process. That's a pretty typical number. But when you look at the class sizes at the year's end, kids have been added throughout the course of that year. So they might not ever get up. We might not get to 15. We might stay at 12, but we don't know if we won't. In the afternoon, we typically we hold 2. Because we have more knowledge about our 3-year-olds who are in the community, because we've screened many of them at 3, and we work closely with our EI team. So those are pretty consistent. We've pushed it one year and we cut it really close. It's a lot of sweat coming down my face. We have to cap it at 15 because it's a fully integrated program. And with a dual certified teacher and the staffing ratio, what the recommendations are is to stay at 15. And when you have children who have disabilities, we want to make sure we're meeting their needs and not overcrowding the classroom, while also making sure we're meeting the needs of our typical learners. So we're pretty clear on the 15. So there's different caps for different programs. So some programs that are like a fully self-contained program might cap at 8. So because of the needs of the children. So it's really dependent on the child. And some might cap higher. So if you go over to like a childhood center on the Navy base, I think their cap is 20-ish, 20, 24. but it's a very different program.
Mm.
So.
Thank you.
Just want to thank you guys. This is, I think, whatever, my 6th year on the committee, and I don't think we've talked about pre-K this comprehensively. So thank you
No.
for coming with the data and answering some of these questions for us and for the community.
Yeah, and thank you all for coming too, which is not easy. We don't mind about the kids, by the way. They can run around and be loud. Don't. But thank you for coming and giving input and
Bring them in, make them do cartwheels.
yeah, that's right.
Thank you. So that moves us on to item number 4.
Can I just
Yep,
thank
jump
Ms.
in.
Dixon real quickly, because this is, I kind of charged her with this after our last meeting. And so thank you very much for the presentation. You did an excellent job.
Copy everything, copy it twice because our list get handed down and if somebody leaves, we don't have it. So the numbers were.
Oh. Oh, wow. All right. So now we're on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. For number 5, we have new business for discussion and possible action, and there's going to be a whole lot of calendar discussion in this. So I am going to pass this over to you for item 5.1, which is the ride waiver.
Sure. And this is the same document that has been approved in previous years.
Mhm.
It granting the district permission to request a waiver for up to 4 instructional days in the event of inclement weather. And we have to submit that by May 1st, and it has to be submitted with an approved school calendar.
Mhm.
Do we need a motion and a vote to submit the waiver request?
Mhm.
We do.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion on this agenda item that we submit a request to the commissioner for a waiver for
2026.
2026, 2027 required inclement weather makeup days.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what I need to do from now on is to create some kind of a motion for you so that you don't have to make something up.
I read it off the agenda.
Okay.
I
That's
thought your motion was lovely.
it was great, but
Sound
I just feel like I can make this.
All
easier
those
for
in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, item number 5.2. We finally had one of the easiest school calendar discussions in 3 years, 4 years on the committee. And here we are again to discuss the 26-27 school calendar. It seems that our legislature threw a
Yes. So
some
you
gum
you
in
guys
the works.
you guys, I guess it was our last meeting. We
Mhm.
approved the school calendar, and you approved that based on what we knew at the time to be the date of the state primary day as being on Tuesday, September the 8th, immediately following Labor Day, and that's what we approved. Just last week, I learned that that it had passed, legislation had passed both chambers and is awaiting the governor's signature, which I've been told that that's going to happen. So we're okay to go ahead and get our revised calendar approved. So I have solicited feedback from our leadership team, from JTA. And so I guess what I should say is the only other option other than flipping, making going back to school on the 8th as opposed to the 9th. The
Mhm.
only other option would be to request a 179-day another waiver for a 179-day calendar. But when JTA looked at that, because of the limited days that we already have, there was really, because even though it was 179 school days, instructional days for students, there was, you still,
Not for staff.
our teachers would be contractually obligated to work that day, right? So we got to find someplace to do that. And it was just, obviously, if we did not have February break, that would be an option. It's challenging enough for teachers to come back in June, after Juneteenth, if there are any makeup days. So they just decided that the easiest thing for the teachers would be just to approve a calendar that, where we'll have a day back in between primary day and Labor Day, understanding that it very possibly could be a low attendance day.
And JTA is comfortable with that.
Absolutely. In-depth discussion with both of our leadership.
So then today you would need us as your committee to make a
Yes,
motion.
yes. So just making a motion to approve the revised, again, didn't give you guys a motion there, but
Can I just make sure I'm clear on option A?
Sure.
So option A is school happens on Tuesday, the 8th, which is what's recommended by JTA and it sounds like maybe by you as well. Then we obviously have off on the 9th for primary day. So that's just switching
That's-
those two
that's
days
right.
around.
That-
And
that-
option B is don't have school on the 7th, 8th, or 9th and ask for a 179-day school year.
correct. But if you do that,
But we don't want to do that.
well, you don't want to do that because, well, JTA doesn't want to do that because they have to contractually work that day, even though it's 179 instructional days.
Right.
And there's
because-
no room in the calendar
Yeah.
to make up that day for them
because
to do
the
that.
JTA calendar, I think, is 183, 180,
184.
184.
Yes.
So
And state law is 180-day school year.
for the
Correct.
kids,
And
yeah.
we couldn't vote on a calendar that doesn't meet the state requirements either, right? That needs a waiver. I wouldn't think.
Right.
I guess I'm wondering why we would have to approve it at all, because we know that primary day would have to be a holiday. Because the
Well-
calendar that we approved,
Well,
have to be a-
but the calendar that's out in the community right now or posted on the website, it shows, shows students not coming back to school until the
Until
9th.
Wednesday.
And currently, the
Right.
9th would now be a no school
Primary
day.
day.
Yes.
right. And that would, and we would have no control over whether or
Cor-
not that was
Correct,
a no school day.
correct.
Yeah, we're not voting for the 9th to not be a school day. We're voting for
Correct.
the
We're
8th
just,
to be a
yes.
school day.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason the 8th wasn't a school day is because it was primary day.
That's,
Exactly.
that's correct.
So,
That's correct. Out of our control.
right.
Lawn, I think. I voted lawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked with our attorney and it's state primary. We don't
Yeah,
have a choice.
We
in
don't
the
have a
matter.
choice.
Yeah.
Nope. All schools.
Okay, I'll, on 5.2, I'll make a motion to approve the school calendar revision, making September 8th a school day and September 9th obviously off for primary day.
I'll second. Oh, sorry. I'll second it.
So the second was Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And now 5.3.
Yeah, this one should be a little easier to explain, I think. So if you recall, I don't know if you can remember this, but we had a blizzard back in February. Y'all remember that? Okay. But anyway, because of the blizzard, we ended up missing a total of 5 days due to inclement weather. So the 2 of those days up during the blizzard, the governor declared states of emergency. Then later on, the commissioner asked the Council for Elementary and Secondary Education to waive those days. And so that just recently happened within the past, sometime in late March. So ultimately now what you've got is that those 2 days have been waived. But what we're asking you to do is I would move that the school committee formally adopt the emergency reduction of the 25-26 school year minimum to 178 days, student days as authorized by the Council on Elementary and Secondary Education.
So then, just to be clear and piggyback off of the conversation that we were just having,
Yep.
it would become 178 school days for the students, but it would remain 183 or 84 days for the
No,
teachers?
No, again, because of the state of emergency and all that kind of stuff, it comes down to our decision and talking with the attorney is that, yeah, we can also waive those days for teachers as long as it doesn't impact their pay.
That was going to be my
Yeah.
follow-up question, was if we approve that. So if we approve these 2 days, we're approving to wipe those 2 days off for everybody, and it doesn't impact anyone's salary or benefits?
That is correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the change as David presented.
Yeah, okay. And it's in your supplemental.
Mhm.
Yeah,
agenda.
just essentially, I move to, I make a motion to adopt the emergency reduction of the 25-26 school year minimum to 178 days per the Council of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Thank
you,
you,
Lisa.
Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the motion carries.
And if I could, just in case there's any other question about makeup days, we still, with those 2 days waived, we still have three makeup days. So by contract, the MOA of the contract, those days still have to be made up by our teachers. And that information went out to JTA today, specifically talking about that. So we should be good on that front as well.
Okay, great. Now we're at item 7, which is open session. So I need a motion to go into open session. Sorry, executive session. Yes, that's where sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I need a motion to go into executive session. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Josh. Now we need to take a roll call name vote to go into executive session. So I, Christine LaPierre, will vote aye to go into executive session.
Christian Cowan, aye.
Drew Alsop, aye.
Josh Furtado, aye.
Great. And we will be back in open session when we are done.
How did I do?